Hello again and welcome to Raven Insight. I am Lyons, your host for the channel. And this is a place where we all come together to hang out and talk a little bit about philosophy, the spiritual journey, the path to higher consciousness, and how to get there. Again, I'm Lyons, former tech bro, now on a mystic path, here to talk about the topic du jour, which today I decided is going to be on the power of thought. The power of thought. Now, notice I didn't call this the power of positive thinking. I know that's out there. But all thoughts have power. All thoughts have power. And the problem with all thoughts having power is thoughts are very cheap. We produce billions of them like you're constantly thinking. A lot of you who have tried to meditate and try to get in touch with yourself and get in that moment of quiet, you're probably harassed by a bunch of jabbering voices and thoughts and ideas rattling around in your head, worries and concerns and all this stuff. So you have a hard time tuning it out. In fact, I think you'll find a lot of your stress is just a lot of the noise in your head. Yeah, there's problems at work. Yeah, there may be money problems. Yeah, there may be relationship problems. But again, things happen in this world. To go back to Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism, things happen in this world. And if you can do something about it, do it. And if you can't, don't worry about it. You know, that's the very basic Stoic Marcus Aurelius point. But in that statement is the concept that things happen. Things happen. Whether it's good or bad takes perspective, and that takes thought. So moral judgments on events that occur in the universe all come from thought, right? Thought is so much of what we are. This whole channel is thought. Spiritualism is thought. Philosophy is thought. Thought is all of it. No matter what we do, it ultimately comes back to thinking. Any pains we feel, any happiness we feel, any solutions that we think of, it's all happening in the mind, and it's all thought. However, ironically, by and large as a people, we don't take thinking that serious. Right? I mean, which young boy among us, after watching Star Wars, didn't try to use the Force to switch the switch in your room to turn off the light? Oh, my Luke Skywalker, can I do it? And it didn't work. And who amongst us has gone to like an executive coach or one of the new age spiritual people who are talking about manifesting and vision boards, and you got your cork board out and you corked up that picture of the Lamborghini and you put all your intention in it, and yet no Lambo, right? I mean, so it's dumb. You can't just think of something and have it appear. That's dumb. That's obviously not the thing. Things are things and they're hard. Thoughts are thoughts and they're invisible, and they're just like biochemical reactions in our brain, and that's it. That's it. There's only the physical world and the mental world, and the two shall never meet, right? I mean, that's what we believe. And we've believed that for a long time. In fact, we're different spiritual traditions, different cultures, different religions have different phases of the universe, of time, epochs, eras. And some of these systems say, I'm, again, not getting into specifics because I only hear things. I don't know the specifics, but there are these epoch cycles. And from what I hear, we just completed a 10,000 year cycle, and we've begun another one. And these cycles tend to be more focused towards a yin energy or a yang energy, a masculine or a feminine. And for the last 10,000 years, we've been in an era of reason, and now we're entering more an era of emotional intelligence. If this is true, that would explain why I'm here and there's so many other people like me who are just normal keyboard warriors and tech guys and business people who all of a sudden had enough one day at their job and got up, went on a walkabout, went on a spiritual journey, went somewhere to find themselves, and then the answers they came out with were way more spiritual and mystical than they were expecting to find when they went into it. So maybe it's a cosmic universe change that's brought this about. But I will point out, for a very long time, we've been stuck in the world of logic and reason. You know, we look at Star Trek and we love Mr. Spock because he's so logical, you know, logic and reason. Masculinity, logic and reason. The war machine. This is how we build the bomb. This is how we build the gun. They have things we want, put them there. Battle strategies. That's how we get it. Corporations, money, spreadsheets, data, Everything is reason. Everything is measurable. Everything is science. The Industrial Revolution, the Enlightenment, all of this has been a movement towards pure, unadulterated reason. But again, if you're only using reason and you're only using that thought, right, that kind of thought, that logical kind of thought, and you've cut out emotion and you see it as inferior and weak and something of the past and more primal and animalistic, and you eschew that out, right, then you become very septic, okay? And look at the society we've built. We went from having beautiful, comfortable, nice, cute homes to brutalism in the cities with big gray cinder block walls and glass and steel. It's easier to clean. It's more efficient. It's all these wonderful things. It's very rational. But there's no heart. There's no soul. There's no humanity in it. Everything is cold, right? So thoughts have some kind of power. They have some kind of value. If nothing else, our thoughts are how we perceive the world. So are you happy? Are you sad? Did you have a good life or a bad life? It's all how you think of it. You know, I did that example the other day of how I could have been mad when I had all those problems trying to clean the boat, but I wasn't, and I was grateful, and I put myself in a positive mindset because that calamity caused me to work on other things that solved a lot of problems that made my life better in the long run. So I could have had one of two different days depending on where I decided to put my mental energies. None of the events of the day changed. The only thing that changed was myself, because the only thing I truly can change is myself. And then it raises the question, is thought even more powerful than that? Is it more powerful than our personal perspective? And this is where things get weird and squishy. And this is where a lot of people are going to take the detour and get off the old spiritual journey. Because if you're stuck in the age of reason, if you're a devout atheist, if you are a rationalist and a materialist, you're going to have a hard time ever getting there. Because again, as I mentioned earlier in a previous video, ultimately it takes that leap of faith. Like, you'll never have the answer. You'll never know, if I do this, will my life be better? Will things be more successful? Is this the truth? Is this the right path? You'll never have that clear answer. It's not how it works. You have to have that constant test of faith to just throw yourself into it. And it's so out there in many ways that I fully respect the fact that many people won't be able to get there. So let's try to get there with the things we can get there on. Like, if you are stuck in the more practical, physical world, okay. Let's think of this from a psychological level. Because you can accept that. You can accept that our thoughts are just, chemical reactions and electronic reactions going in our brain juice across our gray matter in our brain, synapses, nerves, connections, etc. Firing all this stuff, doing all this stuff. So if thoughts are that and it leads to a positive end result, then it works. It's fine because it's anchored in the scientific, right? But if you were to, look at it at a deeper scientific level, the quantum level, now you're kind of getting more philosophical, where our science is being pushed to the end, where it's like, boy, that's odd, but maybe. That's odd, but maybe. And then there's the spiritual level, which just asks, this is the way it is, dive in with faith and just do it, and the results will speak for themselves, right? So I can see myself losing people after step 1 or after step 2, easy enough. But like, let's work through it a little bit and see what I'm getting at here. So do thoughts have actual power? Do they actually impact the world at large? So yeah, they do, most definitely. And let's look at this from a psychological level only, okay? Real easy to understand. If in your head you don't value yourself and you have a low self-image and you go somewhere and you're like, nobody's gonna like me there, so I'm just not gonna talk to anyone, and I'm gonna look away, and I'm not gonna make eye contact, and I'm gonna be shy, and you hide in the corner, then nobody talks to you. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you go, yep, turned out exactly how I thought. No one wanted to talk to me. I was just by myself in the corner. Well, it's true, but you put yourself there because your thoughts put yourself there. You made an assumption that things were going to go a certain way, and then when they turned out that way, you use that to reinforce basically what you set out in the beginning. Like, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're like, this will happen to me. Then you made darn sure that everything you did led to that outcome, whether it was consciously or subconsciously. So you can see how just controlling your thoughts in that manner at a physio-psychological level, mental level, is just going to be like, I'm going to go there and everyone's going to like me. I'm going to have a good time. You know, hold your shoulders back, look people in the face. Hi, how you doing? You know, that's much better than, I don't want to see you, right? So even the thoughts, how they impact your body posture and expression as you interact with other people, is going to change things. So in that regard, what's going on internally is having an impact, right? And like, it's like if you're having an argument with somebody and in your mind you're putting in their motivations, but you don't know their actual motivations. They may be coming from a whole different area, and then you're just going to talk past each other, right? So your thoughts can get in the way of good relationships if you're not listening. So thoughts can have that level of impact, right? So just positive mental attitude will get you there. And, you know, I slammed manifestation just a little bit ago, saying you can't put that Lambo on the board and get a Lambo. However, if you put a reasonable goal on that board and every day you're focused on that goal and every day you take a small step towards that goal, then that goal might come true. That thing might manifest because you've put your mental framework into it. There is thought involved, direct, concentrated thought to make that thing manifest. However, there are concrete actions. Like, the universe does reward action and activity. It doesn't reward stagnation. You need to move in the direction you want to go in to get there. You can't just think it and have it come to you. It doesn't work like that. So if you have a goal in mind, you set the goal and you work towards the goal, I mean, yeah, that's really how manifestation works. You're like, it's a focus, right? So on that level, I think we all can safely agree that this stuff would work and that thoughts have these kind of impacts on the world. All right, so now I'm going to get a little weirder. I mean, does it have actual impacts on how reality presents itself? Maybe. And I know, like, table's table, right? But like I explained in an earlier thing, you don't even know what a table is. You have a concept of a table in your mind, but there are rules that are going to violate that tableness that you inherently understand. Well, that's not a table. It's a banquette. You know, that's something else. You know, that's a table even though it's got 3 legs. That's a table even though it's a pedestal. That's a table even though it's round. That's a table even though it's square. So there's no inherent thing that makes something a table other than our understanding of that. So like what Plato would talk about are the Platonic forms, right? The idea that there's an ideal of something, an intangible thought, a perfect intangible idea of something, that everything in the physical world has enough characteristics or aspects of that envisioned ideal that when it presents itself in the physical world, we recognize it for the metaphysical thing that it is. Okay. That's old school philosophy. And if we look now at like quantum mechanics and you get down to the subparticle level to all these quantum things, quantum stuff gets really funky, okay? And a lot of quantum stuff has to do with entanglement It has to do with spin and has to do with like uncertainty, right? And one of the things they talk about a lot in quantum mechanics that really messes scientists up and what they're struggling with right now. And I mean, they're doing science on this right now. They got Hadron Collider working on this stuff. They got people much smarter than me looking into this who are now like, scratching their heads because it's very frustrating what they're finding, because it does not make sense. It does not match what we're used to, which is Newtonian physics. You know, it just doesn't, you know. Ball is hard when it smack you in face. Like, you know, I can stand on chair. Like, it's solid. It's there, you know. But at the quantum level, things get frustrating. Like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle is that quanta are moving around, and if you use a certain set of mathematical calculations, you can guess about where that should be at any given point in time. But it's not necessarily there. It could be in one state or another at the exact same time. That's what Schrodinger's cat example is. If you ever heard of Schrodinger's cat, a lot of jokes on the internet about it. But the idea was a mind experiment. Dude's got a cat in a closet with a nuclear isotope. Now, the cat was alive when he put it in there. But that nuclear isotope is going to kill the cat at some point. But the cat could still be alive. And the only way to know is to open the door and look in to see if the cat's alive or not. However, the action of opening the door automatically kills the cat. So what does this mean other than, you know, the dude just didn't like cats? Well, what it means is that cat was in a state of superposition. It was both alive and dead at the exact same time. In that state, the probability that that cat was alive or dead was exactly the same. And the only way to verify its state is to observe it. And through the act of observation, the state becomes solidified once and for all. And this is what quanta do. You can guess where a quanta is at any point in time, but it's in multiple states. Once you observe the quanta, it locks into one state permanently. Okay, so what does this mean? This means, in a very real physical way, at some level, things in this universe do not exist until they are observed. They're in like this potentiality state. Once observed, they lock into a state of permanence or reality. But everything is way more nebulous. And if the deciding factor around reality coming into solidification is observation, well, that raises the question, whose observation? Like, what counts as an observer? Does it have to be a human, or could it be a chipmunk? You know, like, can a plant observe another entity and have it come into existence? Or does it have to be a conscious, rational mind? Like, this is really frustrating because, you know, they're getting to a place where you get to the bottom of the math and it's like, yeah, things don't exist until you see them. It's like a video game where stuff, you know, like you get in these open world games, like the whole world isn't rendered at one time. It's a trick. Only like this much is rendered so that when you're looking around, that's what you see. But like the stuff isn't really behind you. It's all an illusion. And to some degree, that's how the universe works. So to answer the Buddhist question, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? The answer is, there is no tree. So again, I probably lost a bunch of you guys here. And it's frustrating. And it's frustrating for the scientific community. But at a very real, very scientific, very deep level, you have people now having to grasp with the fact that, yeah, to some degree, just the mere observation of something causes it to exist. Beyond emotion, beyond feelings, beyond perspectives, but in a real physical, tangible way. So then that brings us to the spiritual level, and again, it's just that leap of faith that, yeah, Mind, thought is important, and in some ways it's everything, because if I'm here to be anchored in myself and complete myself and find myself and be my one true self with all my shadow parts incorporated, a motive self, the yin, the yang, the anima, the animus, and I'm all this one complete person, and I'm connected to the divine, then yeah, it is thought that is in some ways the most important thing. Even though I can't weigh thought, I can't taste thought. Without thought, we'd be dead. We'd be nothing. Thought is everything to us. So, as humans, we need thought. But in a real way, it seems that the universe needs our thoughts too. And that our thoughts can create the reality around us. And like I've said, for like 10,000 years, we've been thinking in a very reasonable, rational way. And how's that worked out for us? We could design that nuclear bomb. That atom bomb was very rational in how we did it. And it was very rational that we had to blow up the other guys before they blew us up. It's very rational in how you make a gun. It's very rational in how you make a tank. It's very rational to say they have resources that we want, so we're stronger, we'll take it. Very reasonable. Is it a motive? Is it love? I would argue no. So thoughts are important, emotive thoughts are important, and our internal space does have a big impact on the world. So kind of to bring this home in my last 10 minutes or so, I want to talk a little bit about how I've incorporated in my own practices to try to be better the scheme of or the modality that the Buddhists use, called the Noble Eightfold Path, because I really like it in its simplicity and practicality. So, and you can look up more on this. It's the Noble Eightfold Path, and there's the original Hindi or Sanskrit words for all the stuff. I'm going to Englishize it because I'm an American. But it starts out with wisdom, okay? So everything starts with thought with them. Everything starts with the wisdom. The start of everything starts with the thought. Starts with the thought. It doesn't end with it. And it's wisdom. You start with having the right view. You want to have an understanding, and that's what we're doing here, trying to get to a right view, a right perspective of everything, right? An understanding of how all this could work, even if it's just academic. Just listen, understand the perspectives. After that, you have right intention. That you then think that you want to do this not for selfish reasons or personal gain, but you want to do these for alignment. You want to do these to be in truth. You want to do these for the fulfillment of your purpose and total self-incorporation and connection to the divine. So right view, understanding of all this stuff. Right intention that you want to do it for goodness and not self-serving reasons. That puts you in the right mindset. Now we can start interacting with the world, okay? So this internal space is now going to start transferring to the outside space. And what's the easiest way that the inside space works with the outside space? It's what we're doing now. It's how I'm reaching all of you. It's through speech, right? The things that you say. If you go about your day and you're like, hey neighbor, how's it going? Well, that's a different world experience than, screw you buddy, F you guy. Different world, different experience, different energies that you're putting out. Remember how I was talking about telling yourself stories? Right speech. This was difficult and I had a bad day, but I'm going to deal with it and we're going to move on. That's a different story than I am useless, I'm a piece of crap, this always happens. Right speech. Say the right things. Say the right things. Don't tell someone you hate them if you don't hate them. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Once Pandora opens that box and all the horrors go out in the world, you can't put them back in. Don't say things you're going to regret. Speech is important. And the things you say are now going to have impacts on other people. So it starts in the mind. It goes to the speech. Again, how much does speech weigh? Nothing. So is it something? Well, obviously, okay? So we're now starting to, whack those molecules in the air. We're getting a physical reaction of the sound wave going through the air as my voice hits your ears, right? So there is now a physical manipulation being caused by my thoughts. All right. Now this goes into action, right? Do the right things, right? Do what you say. And the things you say should be in alignment with your proper values. So now if you're going out in the world and doing good things every day, remember, your life is a series of days. If you add up all the good days, subtract all the bad days, that's going to determine whether you had a good life or not, right? So every moment of every day, if you are aligned to right and positive action, you will have a right and positive life. And so from that speech, if you do what you say and you have actions that align to that speech and you're doing those actions consistently, you're now aligning yourself with those positive energies and intentions. And again, it all started with thought. Now we go to right livelihood, okay? So if you're doing these actions every day, now you got to make a living, do a positive job. Don't work a job is like a money launderer or a thief or, something bad. Don't be a drug dealer. Just don't do things that are going to steal someone's soul or take their money or otherwise harm the universe. So now we're actually physically acting. Again, you can't weigh in action. You can't, you can like quantify a livelihood and how much money you make, but your legacy is going to be in the good that you left to the world and the impacts that you made. Like whether you make $50,000 or $60,000 this year is going to mean less than if you planted 10 trees or not in 100 years. So how you make your living, you could be the best guy with the best intentions and say all the right things and do all the things for a charity. And if your job is killing puppies with a sledgehammer, you're going to have bad karma. So, the things that you do daily, the things that you use to make your life, they have an impact on you. And they have an impact on the world, right? And so going back into the mind. So now those are the actions. We're going back into the mind. As you do these things, you got to always put in the right effort, right? You can't have the end justify the means. You can't say, this is where we're going to get to, so I'm going to do a bunch of crappy stuff along the way, but don't worry about it, we'll get there. Every step makes a difference. To your personal karma, to like the energies that you're putting out there, energy generation, every step makes a difference. So no shortcuts. If you're doing the right thing, you have to do the right thing the whole way. Then right mindfulness. And this talks about being present, okay? Being in the moment, appreciating things as you go, aligning to the changes as they occur, feeling the energies as they are there, seeing the impacts on the work you produce as they go around. It's about being there. It's about not dwelling and putting your energies in the past, and it's not about all the worries of the future. No regrets, no worries, be present. And then the last one is right concentration, and that's just talking about meditation. And when you get into these points and you're able to connect with the divine, that you're taking the time to do so, you're taking the time to learn the lessons of the day, and you're kind of resetting the circuit so that you're getting into even a higher level of wisdom, so that you're improving that view, to improve your intention, to improve your speech, to improve your actions, to improve your overall life. Again, the thoughts that are driving you day to day and the things that you say day to day result in the actions you do day to day. And when you add up all those days, that's your life. So if you're saying positive things, if you're doing positive things, if you're engaging in work that you find fulfilling and fills your soul, you're going to have a good life, and that all really generates with thought. And I have a lot more to talk about on thought, but this feels like a natural place to leave it for today, so I think I will, and save the rest of my thought discussion for another time. But remember, there's many ways you can look at this, right? But no matter how you slice it, it all comes down to that positive mindset. And when you're talking about the spiritual journey, that positive mindset has to be real. That's why many of you will fail with affirmations. And if you're trying some other stuff where you're doing affirmations every morning, it's not going to work for you, because part of you if you've not fully incorporated yourself and all those parts of your shadow self into you, and you're really wearing a mask, those affirmations are going to feel like lies, and you're just going to say, I'm lying to myself, because you know that's not true. So I personally don't like affirmations. I've never found them very helpful for me, because I always feel like I'm lying to myself, and they make me feel worse. So I just try to treat myself with kindness more than anything, and know that I'm human and that I mess up just like everybody else, and not to beat myself up over it. I mean, that's really the most important thing, and we're all learning and we're all growing. But again, even that, it's thought, that's mindset, that's your perspective of the world. So again, I don't know if you're going to come all the way on this spiritual journey with me. Probably just pass by this video and saw it, and you're just listening to me ramble so you can laugh at me in the comments. Whatever. Even if this is the only thing you ever get out of me, it's worth it to me. Just your mindset, right? And it is the one thing that those mindfulness gurus do get right, okay? This is the one thing, and it seems crazy, but it works. If you have something you want, if you want that Lamborghini, if you want that vacation, if you want that dream house, ask yourself why, okay? What is it about that thing that you want it? Do you want the thing for the thing? Because this is how mindfulness and this is how manifesting would work with the Lamborghini. This is how it does work. I want a Lamborghini. Why? Because I love driving fast. Driving fast is awesome. Driving fast is life. What I want to do is drive fast. I get in a car, I drive fast. What are you going to do after high school? Drive fast. I'm going to get into a NASCAR program. I'm going to do all the dirt tracks. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do everything until I can drive fast. I want to drive fast, drive fast, drive fast, drive fast. Passionate about it, driven about it. Get in those cars, do the races, build up, become a racer. And then before you know it, you wind up having a Lamborghini for your job. You see what I mean? If you're truly aligned to these things, the other guy's like, why do I want a Lambo? Because it's a $275,000 car and I want to drive around and show everyone how much money I got. That's ego. First guy, that was passion. That was his purpose. That was alignment. That's why it came to him, because it was natural. He lived his life in such a way that eventually, like a magnet, that's why they're always talking about this magnet stuff with spiritualism, he was just in the right place, right time. Luck is when preparation and opportunity meet, right? So maybe that's just a sponsor for his next race, gave him the car. But the guy who just wants it because he deserves it and isn't going to put any of the effort into it, it's not going to manifest for him. That's entitlement. That's ego. That's not alignment. So there's a lot of power in thought, believe it or not. And so what the manifesting gurus do get right is this, though. Ask the question of why you want it. And if it's a feeling you want rather than the thing, feel the feeling. I want a camper. Why? Because I want to go somewhere and have some peace to myself. All right, go out in the yard and have some peace to yourself. Don't have a camper, set up a tent. Just go in the car and just park somewhere. Like, there's other options. Get to what you want. Get to the emotive part that you want. Don't let the thing be the barrier to your happiness. Don't let people or things or anything else be a barrier to your happiness or any other emotion. Because what you're doing then is you're just giving away your power. If I'm going to be happy when I get that thing owns your happiness. Really? You're going to give your happiness to an inanimate object? So know why you want things. The why is important. And the why speaks to the who. You notice how all these questions are, what is your value? Who are you? Why do you want it? Those very basic questions will tell you everything you need to know about yourself if you actually take the time to ask those questions, dig in, and really listen to the answers. Because thought, way more powerful than I would like to admit. And to be fair, knowing this bothers me because I'm still a materialist. Table's still table to me a lot of the time. But when I take that leap of faith and I say, well, maybe it's not, and maybe thought is everything, and I'm just going to connect to the thoughts of the divine in the way that I see fit, You know what happens? My life is better. My days go easier. I'm less stressed, and I'm generally happier. And I don't have to try so hard, and things all just kind of fall into place. So I don't know. Again, with spiritualism, perhaps it's all a delusion and we're all crazy, but the end result's the end result. Maybe we're using the wrong mathematical formula, but somehow, through metaphor, analogy, and a little sprinkling of luck, we've ended up in the right place. But if it works, it works. You know what I'm saying? So give it a thought. And then I will see you next time here on Raven Insight. In the meantime, if you want to be sure to catch me next time, hit the subscribe button. Give me a like, because trust me, it helps that algorithm. And I'm lost out here. I'm all by myself alone without you people. So please give me a like. And why don't you talk it out down in the comments. Let me know what you think about thoughts. And until then, I'm Lions. Have a great day. Bye now.